Hi everyone, does a huge CPU cooler like this Thermalright Phantom 120 SE ARGB gives you better performance than this regular CPU cooler that is the Cooler Master H212 Black Edition RGB? So in this video we're gonna discover this. So I'm gonna install the Thermalright Phantom 120 SE CPU cooler in my PC. My PC has a motherboard that is AM4, it is the Asus Prime B550 Plus, and it has CPU that is the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. And after the installation, I'm gonna compare the performance of my PC with this new Thermalright CPU cooler to the performance I had with the Cooler Master H212. So let's bring the camera up close and start the work. So let's open the CPU cooler. This is the cooler, and this is the accessory box, and these are the fans. So you have a user manual here, and you see the 7 heat pipes here. Let's see what's in the accessories box. So it is clearly indicated here. So this is for Intel, this is for Intel, and this one here is for AMD. And these back plates, we don't need them. These are for Intel. We are going to use the back plate that came with the motherboard. This is the Y cable to connect the fans. It comes with thermal paste, and it comes with 4 brackets for the fans. To start the installation, turn the PC upside down, and this is the back of the motherboard. So you need to put the original backplate that came with your motherboard. This is the AM4 original backplate. Put it here like this, and prepare these items from the CPU cooler. So you have these 4 red washers, and you have 4 screws and these 2 brackets. Now hold the backplate with your hand and turn the PC. Keep holding the backplate so that it doesn't fall. You see these pins here. Put the washer in each one. Let's put 2 here first. And then you need to get this bracket. So this bracket here, it says AM4 on the bracket. So it needs to go inside like this. So rest it on the washers and put 1 screw. And let's put another screw. And let's tighten it just a bit so that the back plate holds in place. So now the back plate holds in place. You can remove your hand and continue the installation here. And this bracket here should be pointing inwards also. And now we can tighten everything. Do not over tighten it. So now the brackets are installed. The second step is to install the heatsink. So on the heatsink here, you see you have a protection. You need to remove it, of course, otherwise it will not work. The CPU cooler comes provided with a thermal paste. So Thermalright says to put 9 small dots everywhere. So this is what I'm gonna do. Do not put too much thermal paste. And now you need to put the heatsink. When you position it on the brackets, try not to move it anymore. So it is positioned. You see you have 2 screws. You need to tighten them. So I'm gonna start by tightening the one on the right, and then a little bit on the left, and so on. Now the third step is to see on your motherboard where you have fan headers and RGB header. On my Asus motherboard, they are here if you can see them. If you have 2 headers, you can use both headers, and you can also use the Y cable. I'm gonna use the Y cable so that both fans will run at the same speed. So let me install the Y cable on the fans. The fans have 2 connectors because they are RGB fans. So this is for the RGB. I'm gonna show you how to connect it to your motherboard. And this here is for the fan to operate it. So this is the Y cable. Put this in it. It has a key, so it cannot go wrong. This is the first one. Let's connect the second fan. So here are the fans connected. Now we need to determine the direction of the fans. Unfortunately, the fans don't have any arrows, so they need to pull air and push it like this. So I know from previous experience and from other fans that I have, is that if you wanted to pull air, you should put it like this, so that these blades, when they are like this, they should be here. So install the brackets on each fan and make sure that the cables of the fan are pointing towards the motherboard so that they don't get tangled. And when you install the brackets, Install each fan on the heatsink, the first one on the outer of the heatsink and the second one inside the heatsink, and just pull the metal brackets so that they hold on the heatsink. So this is a fan header on the motherboard. Connect the Y cable to this fan header. For the RGB connection of the fans, connect one RGB connector from one fan to the one that is on the other fan after you remove the protection, and then connect the RGB of the fan to the RGB header of your motherboard. So notice how everything is working as intended, and it is really very quiet, so I cannot hear almost anything. The first performance and thermal test I'm doing is with Cinebench R23 5 minutes test. And here the Thermalright outperformed the Cooler Master in both the score and the maximum temperature it reached. So the Ryzen 7 5800X CPU scored with Thermalright 13,904 points, whereas it scored with the Cooler Master H212 13,219 points. And the maximum temperature the CPU reached with the Thermalright CPU cooler was 61 degrees, whereas it reached 73 degrees with the Cooler Master H212, and this is a huge gain for the Thermalright cooler. The second test I made is exporting a 9 minutes 26 seconds 4K video with HandBrake. And here also the CPU performed better with the Thermalright CPU cooler, so it was averaging 60 frames per second. It took an overall time 3 minutes 48 seconds to finish the export, and the maximum CPU temperature was 61 degrees. Now with the Cooler Master H212, the frames per second average was 54, and the time it took to export the 9 minutes 26 seconds 4K video was 4 minutes 16 seconds, and the CPU reached a maximum temperature of 71 degrees. And here also the Thermalright outperformed the Cooler Master. So what I can say at the end is that even if your CPU isn't overheating, you can always benefit from a better CPU cooler like I showed in this video. I also performed other tests, but I didn't put them in this video so that this video will not be too long. And in each test, the CPU performed better with the Thermalright CPU cooler as opposed to the Cooler Master Hyper 212. By the way, if you want to check out the Thermalright Phantom Spirit 120 SE ARGB CPU cooler, I'm gonna leave an Amazon affiliate link in the description below. If you make a purchase using my link, I will gain a small percentage at no cost to you, and this will help my channel greatly. I hope that this video was useful to you. In case it was, please share it, subscribe to my channel, and give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it, and it will help my channel greatly. And this way, you will not miss my future videos. I want to thank you all for watching. I'm Eloy from Knowledge Sharing Tech. See you in the next video.